before I'm actually, well, maybe not 2 minutes, but we are live potentially. My tablet must have shut down completely. Let me, yeah, I got to turn my tablet on. I don't even know when we're live or not. All right, everybody. I don't know if we're live or not, but I'm going to assume we probably are by now, just in case. I'm waiting for my tablet to start up, and until then, I won't know if we're actually live or not. Steve is here with us tonight.
Hey, everybody.
Zini, Mandarin, Neil, Craig, and Amy. Hello. My tablet must have shut itself off. I plugged it in a little while ago, but when I just checked it, it said it was at 21% charge. So it must have been like off and just the battery had run down completely. So now I got to wait for the stupid thing to start up. And it is never in a hurry to do that.
Yeah, when things get older, they get a little slower.
Yeah, they do. Except if you're me. Then you get better. All right, let's get started. We'll get to feeding everybody.
You definitely showed me up earlier on the reservoir.
Oh, that's just because of the equipment. Do you want some of those ram's horn snails?
Yeah, you like the bluey one? Absolutely.
Have at them. Steve, actually, we went out on the kayak for the afternoon. I'm sure I can get you a Ziploc bag or something if you want. Steve and I went out for a paddle today, and he is here now because he's going to get some ram's horn snails and some shrimp to take home with him and hang out with us here on the live stream for a little while. All right, we're still waiting on the old tablet to start up because it's still not starting up. All right, let me get Steve a bag to put his...
Because it seemed like every way I was turning was in the way.
You say I need to like make a zone, and that's your default zone. When I point, you just go stand there, and it's out of my way. All right. There are some bags for you to put some stuff in. You want a net?
Yes.
Hanging by the sink. Yeah, that way. All right, everybody. Still waiting on the old tablet to start up. Oh, you got a new tank? Nice. Oh, Jesus, now it's updating. So, all right, well, we're going to have to wait for it to update. In the meantime, let me go finish getting ready. That's why I'm running a little bit late tonight. We got to chatting and talking about different marijuana strains, and I was Googling stuff and looking weed strains up. And I looked up, and it was, holy crap, it was 8 o'clock all of a sudden, and it was time to go live. And so here we are. So I need this. I need one of these, a couple of those. Where the hell's my torch? Did I bring my torch in there already? I believe I did.
Yeah, it's sitting over there.
All right.
I can just pluck the snails off our hand. I don't want to.
Yeah, you definitely don't need a net for the snails.
This is precariously.
And the lid is, let me get this stuff out of the way. In fact, why don't I just reach in and grab them for you? Everybody, this is what we're talking about. I know there's a lot of glare on it at the moment. We'll try to look at it at a slight angle. You can see them big-ass snails on the rocks there. I'm going to try to pick a few of those off for Steve. There's 3 for now.
You never realized how many were in there when Butterbean was still there. He kept them way under control.
Yeah, he did. The Betta tank has a ton of them in there too. I don't think these are nuisance snails at all. I always throw them in here when I get extra snails and other tanks and whatnot. I toss them in my various tanks. Now, I will admit that I don't toss them in this tank very often simply because there's now nothing in here that will eat them. But a lot of my tanks do have fish that will nibble on the small snails, and I can, you know, freely throw snails in there. So I've got a healthy population, but the fish are also feeding. Oh, here, I pulled these out to take them. All right, so that's lots of snails for Steve. Let's turn the camera back around, and the next thing we'll do is we'll get some shrimp for him. Oh God, I'm trying to dry my arm off and it's covered in duckweed.
Right, I was inspecting the bag carefully. I do not want to do that one.
There we go. Much better. And yes, I did take a shower when I got home, and I washed all of the sunblock and everything off of me, so that was not an armful of sunblock going in my pond. Hey, Laura. I don't know what to say about your notification. Does what look way different, Zini? Has my tablet turned on yet?
Doesn't look like it.
Well, it's been sitting so long, it would have gone dormant again. Hey, there it is. All right, now we just got to let it start, and eventually I'll get to the old YouTubes. We're already down to 21%. I've lost 1% battery charge just waiting for it to. It still says it's starting. Yay. Coming around the bend, everybody. Give me another 6 minutes. I've only hit the YouTube app about 5 times now, and one of these times it's going to open. Hey, there, it did it. I am a tech wizard. Now we're just waiting for YouTube to eventually open. Oh, look, it's trying. It's getting there. It's going to do it. It's going to do it. Any minute now, it's going to do it. Oh, sweet bloody Jesus. Open.
Everything going slow.
Well, it's just starting up, so it's getting everything going. My notifications are all coming up all at the same time. Oh, look at that. There's a live stream going right now on my channel. Oh, sweet bloody hell. We're so close, everybody.
And it was a gnarly paddle today.
Yay, it's open. All I'm waiting for now is the comments and whatnot to open. Oh, we're getting there. Yay, look at that. Comments. God bless America.
All right, looks like you're getting another bract, or is that just a new leaf?
That looks like a flower. Bract. All right, I am there. We've got comments. I can read them. Hey, Cecil, Shirley. Let's see who else is joining us. Do I know much about the breed of guppies and them dying? What do you mean with the breed of guppies? Well, I mean, I guess to answer your question, no, I don't. Whatever your question is going to be, I don't know a lot about the different breeds of guppies. I just get ones I think are pretty and I keep them. All right, I'm all caught up on comments. Let's see what all these stupid.
Hello again, everybody. For those that don't know, I'm here.
Right, Steve is here visiting everybody. Thank you, Laura. I got that terrarium jar at Walmart. It is actually a Better Homes and Gardens branded terrarium jar. It's actually sold as a terrarium. And again, it's a Better Homes and Gardens brand. They sold 3 or 4 different similar items like that at the Walmart in the garden aisle. You know, the section where you're going to get your watering cans and all that kind of bullshit in the store. Well, I guess that would make sense in the store. You're not going to find their glass jars out in the yard. All right, everybody, let's do a well-earned dab here. You can listen to Steve choke to death when he tries to do a dab, if he wants.
Yeah, I may take one before.
Oh, we're down to 12 people. We got up to 20 for a minute there. I've lost 8 people already. Wow. You do all the dabs you want, dude. Help yourself. All right, let's move on to the next tank now that we've clouded up the joint. We do have possible work to get done today. If you'll notice, my filter for the gourami tank is back in the basement. That sat outside for a very long time. I finally dumped it out. I cleaned it out. I got it all like scrubbed out. Everything's all done. I got to put new filter material in it. And basically, it's like a brand new filter that we're going to be starting up. And so I might be putting that on the gourami tank tonight. It depends. Excuse me. All right, let me get the pond turned off so you can see the tanks a little better. I put another dose of the ICX in this tank yesterday, just on the safe side. I didn't see any signs of the growth coming back on Wednesday there, but I'm going to make sure I don't. Every few days or so, I'm going to put a dose of the ICX in there for a week or so, just to make sure I don't see anything coming back. After that, I'm going to stop. I don't think it's good for them to just constantly keep dosing it with the ICX. But otherwise, everything's ticking over nicely in this tank. It's looking good. My little shrimp tank over here, Steve didn't believe me when I told him how many shrimp are in it. And he thought my other tank had more shrimp in it than this one. And I was like, oh, no. When you stop and actually look at this tank, the water's still cloudy. I don't know why, but the water is not clearing up yet at all. It is still flowing. It is still flowing over all of my Java moss and everything, but it's just not clearing up. It's just still cloudy. But, man, there's a shit ton of shrimp in that tank. Maybe possibly even a zillion of them.
I know there's an ass load in here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Well, you can see them in that tank. Yeah. It's just nice and open and clear. There's nowhere for them to hide, really.
It's movement. You can even the teeny tiny ones. You can't even tell it's a shrimp. You know, it's just movement.
But that tank's got a million of them in it.
Yeah, when I'm walking around and look at the side of that back corner, they're just piled in there.
Yeah, they're stacked on top of each other. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them in there. There's a lot of clear ones in this tank. I have a couple in the other tank, the 10-gallon, which used to be my quarantine tank, but now apparently it's a tank full of shrimp. I have a couple in there that are really, really dark red, and I want to try to separate them out and put them in a tank by themselves and see if I can get them to start breeding and just get a strain of really red ones going. But I also have a lot of the sort of mango creamy colored ones, which are the ones that I was given. This tank over here, this is the one I keep talking about. I'm not going to bother showing it to you up close because you just can't see into it. It's all cloudy. But this one has a lot in there that have a clearish appearance to them. And I don't know if maybe it's because of the cloudy water or what. But maybe tonight we'll pull some out of there and we'll see what we can do about getting some of them into a different tank. Let me go get a bucket. I'll see about doing that now.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different colors in this thing. Some multicolored.
There's a couple in there that are really, really red.
Yeah, I see one underneath the filter.
All right, so this is the simple way that I usually collect shrimp out of there.
Siphon those.
Yeah. All right, everybody, this is how I collect shrimp out of a tank. And if you look down here, you will see that I have a bucket, and on that bucket I have a net. And then we're going to use the siphon hose, and I'm going to do my best to just siphon shrimp out of the tank. All right, which one is the end that goes in the water? I think this end goes in the water. All right. Damn it, I get something stuck on it almost immediately. And I broke the siphon already. Damn it. Damn it, I caught that same stupid stick again.
Well, one way to change water, too.
Yep. Yeah, I got a kink in the line somewhere. There we go. All right. Collect yourself all your shrimp out of there. Just dump the whole thing in your bag. You might get some stuff in there you can separate out later. It'll be maybe some duckweed or something. All right, let me go top some water back off out of that. All right, let me dump some of that back out. I don't know if there's any shrimp in there or not. Oh, damn it, I just dumped it on the table, and there's definitely at least one shrimp in it because I just collected it. All right. There's a shrimp in the angel and the goldfish tank now. I wonder how long that'll live. So I need to get some water to put back in the shrimp tank. Let me go do that. Did you get a bunch of them?
Yeah, I'll just get here to my spot.
Just got to fill up my watering can. I only took about a half a gallon, maybe 3/4 of a gallon out of the tank. I'm just going to top it back off. So those shrimp I got out of there tonight are going over to Steve, but I'm going to do the same thing again when I do another water change on that tank. And the shrimp I collect out of there, I'll start spreading around and putting them in some of my different tanks. I already have shrimp in a bunch of tanks that I've been doing this with, up until now. But I still have some tanks that I've not even bothered to try. I'm thinking about throwing some in the pond. I don't know if we'd ever see them again. Even if they were in the pond living, would they be visible? Would we even see them in there? I don't know. I also threw a magnolia leaf in here that I collected I got a bunch of magnolia leaves from one of my customers who has a magnolia tree, and I dried them out, and I threw the magnolia leaf in here, and it's still in there. There's shrimp still eating it, and the snails are still on it, and so I know it's still being digested. So I got a few of those. Well, I got like a dozen of those left, so I'm going to get a lot of use out of the magnolia leaves. All right, let's move on to the next tank here. How many did you get?
8 to a dozen.
Oh, is that all?
Kind of hard to tell.
Those are wily little fuckers. They're so fast, even with that siphon hose sucking them out of the tank. It's still, they still get out of the way. Green?
Yeah.
That's cool. I never noticed any green shrimp in there.
Well, it's green in my eyes, but you know how well my eyes are.
That's true. Well, you say you can see well up close. It's just far away that you can't.
Well, this one here, doesn't it look kind of green to you?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah.
I'd call that one the clearish color. So maybe it has like that clearish green quality to it. Maybe I could see that a little bit. But I think of those as being the ones that look a little on the clear side. right, let me get caught up on a few comments here. Throw on top of the washing machine. All right, let me see who we got joining us here. Where are we? Got to be way back here somewhere. There we go. There's some stop signs.
Well, it's getting to be about that time. This is the screen on my way home.
All right, Steve says he's getting out of here.
See everybody. I'll be chatting in maybe an hour.
All right, so Steve is leaving now. He'll be home in about an hour-ish, and then maybe we'll hear from him once again. So wish Steve good night, everybody.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it.
No problem, Steve. All right, I'm just trying to get caught up on everybody's comments here. Hey, Quaz, how are you this evening? Let me see, just reading through. Yeah, live bears in general like harder water, so you can always throw some crushed coral in for them. Val's probably a low light plant. You could probably do that. Yeah, those shrimp, but as much as I was dashing around with that siphon hose, and I didn't even use the little one, I used my big siphon hose, and I still only got about 8 or 10 shrimp out of there, apparently. Yeah, I would go with the crushed coral, Annie. All right. Hey, gamer. You should probably be able to get plants easy enough, Annie. Yeah, breeding the shrimp for see if I can separate the colors out would be interesting. Steve has the gimlets like Zini. Except Steve can't see far away. All right, he's probably not even out in his vehicle yet, so I'm not going to say goodnight to him and let him know you all say goodnight. Oh, neither can you. See, I'm the other way around. I can still see far away, pin sharp. I got no problem with the distance viewing. I just can't see shit up close anymore. It's basically just a symptom of getting old. In order to focus on things that are really close to you, you really have to tighten up your lenses. You really have to focus your lenses pretty tight. And as your body gets older, everything, your arteries, start to get stiffer and harder, and all your tissue starts to get less flexible. And your eyeballs are no different. And so your lenses are just not as capable of focusing in on really close items as you start to get older. And it generally starts to happen to most people in their 40s. And considering I'm 53 now, I would say I did pretty good. I made it mostly through my 40s before I started noticing that my vision was starting to get worse. By the time I was into my 50s, though, I definitely had to start putting on glasses for certain things. Now I have to put on glasses for all kinds of shit. I can't see shit up close anymore. I hear you. You can say hi to everybody later. I think I might have some more mushrooms growing out of this tank. Let me check here. Let me put this food away. Or at least over here for the time being. I see a scooter. Hang on. No, I do not have any mushrooms, but I do have the wilted dead remains of some. Here, I'll show you. You've seen these before, but I'll show you again. This moss, this piece of wood is where the fungus is growing, and it sends out mushrooms, and you can see the dead ones are all sort of rotten and saggy and have wilted away and dissolved into the water. Look, here's even part of an old mushroom floating in the water right there. So look, here's some more dead, old, shriveled up pieces of mushroom on this piece of wood. I hear you, Squeaker. That smells mushroomy. Are you giving me kisses? Squeaker's licking my leg. Look at all the fishies hanging out up here. What are they all doing up there? All right, we hear you. Watch out. Zini, thank you very much. Dale, welcome aboard. Mad Cypress, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh, I definitely have more than any 50 damn shrimp. That's why you squint. I thought you squinted because you were cool like Clint Eastwood. Java Fern should be cheap enough. Thank you, Mad Cypress. Good to see you again. All right, Steve, everybody said good night to you. I wanted to wait till you were in the car on the way home before I let you know that. I had a bamboo shrimp once, but it did not live very long. I think it starved to death. I kept trying to put stuff in the water column for it to feed off of, but it never really did. Oh, hang on. I can see now that I'm looking up that the stupid fish are not cooperating. They've swum back down to this end of the tank again. This tank isn't really that exciting when I'm not feeding it. All the silver dollars do is just sort of stack up in formation and just kind of hang out and wait for something to happen. How much for the log? That piece of wood with the fungus growing on it, that's just a fucking branch. It's just a log. You can have it for free if you want it. You have to come get it, though. You squints because you can't see. Have you ever tried eyeglasses? See, that's the difference between Steve and I. He actually has to have prescription glasses because he has distance, issues, whereas he can see up close just fine. My eyes are still good, and so the kind of glasses I have to wear are what are generally known as readers, which they're just magnifiers, is what they are. And that's why you can just go buy like reading glasses at the Walmart or at a pharmacy because you don't need a prescription. All they are is magnifying glasses. And it's for the exact same thing I'm talking about. It's just very common. As you get older, you just have trouble seeing up close and you just need things to be bigger so you can see them. And so as you get older, you wear magnifiers or readers. And I actually wear 2X, but they start at like 0.5 and they go up in increments of, 1X, 1.5, 2, 2.5. I got a pair of 3s and like 3 is too magnifying. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like it's just like it's blurry because it's too in my face when I put on the 3s. So I definitely have to wear the 2X magnifiers when I'm looking at anything close up. I've even said, if I pointed out before, my sunglasses. I'm so old that I buy bifocal sunglasses. You can get them at the Walmart in the fishing section. They actually have the magnifying lens down on the bottom, like bifocals. So when I have to tie a fishing line or see something up close or whatever, I've got that bifocal lens on my sunglasses. It sucks getting old. All right, everybody, we're just doing another dab. I'm not even sure what we're dabbing on tonight. It's the last of what I got, and I think it might be Purple Kush. That's from across the room. Oh, look. Iced tea. Let me have some of that. Oh, that sucks, Cecil. Yeah, I guess typically when you think of bifocals, is you think of, like vision glasses up at the top part, and then the magnifiers down at the bottom, or something like that. So mine are not like that. Mine are just clear, sunglasses, and when I'm looking forward. But there's a little strip along the bottom edge that's a magnifying strip. Like, again, it is bifocals. The one has zero distortion focal point, and then the other one has the magnifying focal point. So they are technically bifocals, but I see what you're saying. As far as most people think of bifocals and they think of prescription glasses. So these are not that. These are just regular old sunglasses, for looking forward. But if I look down, I'm looking through the little magnifiers. And yes, they are polarized, because if you ever go out on water or you fish, then you should absolutely have polarized glasses on. Wearing polarized glasses while you're fishing is almost like cheating. You can see through the water like it's not even there half the time. All right, we're just throwing some Viber bites in there for everybody. Collins is crippled. I don't know about that. I was listening to music tonight, but I was listening to the same music tonight that I was listening to Friday night. So I was trying to give Steve a taste of some quality music instead of the stuff he normally listens to. And so I was letting him listen to my ambient house music. So if you remember the band I was listening to on Friday, and again, I'm using the term band very loosely, that's who I was listening to tonight. I'll take a car full of plants if you want to drive out here, Laura, and I'll give you that stick. I will let you have that stick. In fact, I will be so magnanimous that I will let you have any stick you want out of the backyard along with that stick. I'll let you take 2 sticks. Hell, I'll let you take 3 sticks. The stop sign wars. I don't even think half the people involved in the stop sign wars are even here anymore. You can use cat litter or oil dry, I'm assuming, because oil dry is basically just generic cat litter. I do believe that there is a difference between the oil dry and the cat litter. You're supposed to use the stuff that says it's baked. I'm not 100% sure why. It's got something to do with the chemical reaction in the clay or the lime or whatever. So whatever you're going to use, make sure it is baked clay, and then you can use it as for whatever you use clay for in an aquarium, because I don't really know what you use the kitty litter for in those kind of tanks. I don't have any of those kind of tanks. Well, he's also old, ain't he? That happens to people when we get old. Yeah, safety Zorb is basically that's what I was thinking of exactly, Laura. Take all the moss. The moss is my yard, though. Oh, you can have some jumpy bugs, too. I thought I'll have to look into that. I know that when you're doing, like there's a difference between lime and quicklime, and it has to do with heating it. and once you heat it, it changes the chemical formula a little bit, and like one can be used in the production of concrete and the other can't, or something. Again, I don't know all the details. I'm not a chemist, but let me see what baking clay does. All right. I know that the clay is. I don't want to read the AI because I don't necessarily trust the AI. But the clay is ionically charged in a way that pulls certain ions out of the water. So it will actually remove the ammonia and stuff. So according to the AI overview, it says baked clay is used in aquariums, especially as a substrate because of its high cation exchange capacity, or CEC, and durability. This means it can absorb and hold nutrients, making them available to the plants that won't break down easily in the water, unlike raw clay. So the baking process does something to it that stabilizes it and holds it together, but it is also important in making sure it's got the right chemical um, or ionic charge to it. You definitely want to have it as negatively charged, so it attracts the cations. Or I'm assuming is it cation. I don't know if that's I'm pronouncing that right. Again, I've only ever seen it written down. Um, the cations are positive and the anions are negative, I believe, if I'm getting that correctly. He's 74. I guess he's not as old as I thought. Gets nut mushy, right? All right, see, so I wish I had eaten something today. I had a protein bar and a drink while I was out on the water with Steve, but that's all I've had to eat all day. But that's not unusual. You hear me complain about that all the time. Yeah, so the reason we put baked clay in an aquarium. Oh, I found a dead fish on the floor. It was hiding. All right, I got a bunch of crap in the way. Hang on, let me get this dead fish picked up. And that looks like it's been there for a while, and it is a little minnow. So that is from the 125. Lost another one of those minnows, but again, that's been there for a while. That was really, really dried up. So the reason we put the baked clay in the aquarium, and we do it in the layers the way we do it, and the baked clay is down near the bottom, and then we put the cap of sand over it and everything, is the baked clay basically functions like a magnet. It's positively charged or negatively charged. I guess it's negatively charged. And that way, the positively charged ions that are in the tank, like probably nitrate, ammonia, the other nitrogenous compounds that you'll have in your tank, and probably some other mineral ions that carry the right ionic charge, will actually be attracted to the clay and will bind with it. And that way, not only does it pull it out of the water column, helping to keep your aquarium nice and clean without having any, again, excessive nitrogenous compounds in there. And again, a nitrogenous compound is anything from ammonia all the way down to nitrate. Nitrite, and ammonia are all very heavy on the nitrogen. And so that stuff will get bound up in the clay. And that way, not only is it being pulled out of the water column, it's being bound in such a way that your plant roots have ready access to it, and it serves that purpose. So that's why baked clay is put in a aquarium. But if you have tanks like mine, it's just not necessary. Dead fish. I definitely smelled that one when I picked it up. It had a dead fishy smell. Oh, I sent you a response to it, Annie. I just laughed at it. I didn't know if you were just sending me because of the name of it and thought it was funny, or if you were asking me about the quality of it. As far as the quality of it, I have no idea. I'm not really one to judge. You'd have to just read what the label says and go by what that says because I don't know anything different. I like the stuff that I drink because it's whole. It's not the isolate stuff. The isolate protein is a little more expensive, but it's got less stuff in it. It also has less calories in it. Um, and the stuff I get is pretty cheap, but it is also carries the complete set of amino acids. There are some protein powders and stuff like that from plant proteins that don't contain all of the um, amino acids that, like, say, meat would carry, or like a protein from an animal-based protein. But whey protein is animal-based protein. It comes from milk production. It's a byproduct from the milk industry. So any kind of whey protein that you're going to be eating is probably going to be your complete complement of amino acids. And other than that, I wouldn't, you'd have to look and see if it's got added, other supplements added to it, or if it's got preservatives in it or whatever. I don't know brand wise, but that's what I look at when I look at a protein drink. Is, does it have all of the amino acids or does it have most of the amino acids? So I look for the complete amino acid list, and I don't even know how many it is. There's 3 or 4 amino acids that some high protein plants don't carry certain amino acids. Duckweed, yeah, duckweed's probably good for you. The shake Lee protein, I don't know anything about that one. Sounds expensive though. It sounds like a brand name stuff. Let me look up Shake Lee. I know the brand. I've heard of that before. Don't they make like diet drinks and stuff? Shake Lee multi-level marketing company. Shake Lee vitamins, Shake Lee protein powder. All right, I'm starting to get scared already. Oh, I've seen that before. Yeah, the stuff I buy, yeah, that's expensive stuff. The stuff I buy is fairly cheap. I get it at Walmart. It's well, the price went up not too long ago. It's like $22 for the big can of it. If you're interested, if you want, I can run upstairs and grab the thing. I'll show it to you. But if you're not, I won't worry about it. I don't know if you're all into protein shakes like I am, but that's what I live on. Pistachio lattes. It sounds pretty good, sort of. Yeah, well, again, I thought you sent me the brand Naked Way just because it was, me that you were sending it to, and I just thought that was funny. Um, but again, based on the name, and obviously they named it that for the very reason I'm about to say, is when I hear that name, my assumption is there's nothing added to it. It's just whey protein, which is what mine is. Mine is just pure whey protein, but it's not the isolate. It's the whole stuff. And so again, it's a little cheaper than the isolate, but it also gives me a little broader of a nutritional intake, considering how little other food I eat. I need all the variety I can get in my protein shakes. Yeah, as soon as I started seeing the multi-level marketing. Well, there's a fine line between multi-level marketing and the pyramid scheme company, because there are a lot of places out there like Amway and Tupperware. They're not scams necessarily, but they can be. And the multi-level marketing is a big industry, and a lot of people get scammed on it. So the way the trade commission or whoever it is that actually looks into, not that they exist anymore, they've probably been axed. But back when we actually looked into like crimes and fraud and stuff, whatever organization it was that looked into it, one of the criteria they looked at was if you're in one of these multi-level marketing groups, is your main priority selling products, or is your main priority recruiting new people under you? If your main priority is recruiting new people under you, it's a pyramid scheme. If you actually have a product and your main goal is to move that product and you do actually sell that product, you have different types of parties. Ladies have parties, and you have the Tupperware parties and stuff like that back in the day. And if you're selling products like that, then that's fine. But if your main job is not to move product, but to like recruit new people under you, that's a scheme. You don't want to do that. So that's the main thing to look at is, are they actually trying to sell me a product, or is this person showing me this, like telling me this new business deal? I remember years ago I'd gone to House of Tropicals, and I had one of the employees down there asked me about business opportunities and if I'd be interested in this, business and blah, blah, blah. And it's this business doing this and that and the other thing. And I kept thinking the whole time is like, all right, well, if this is such a great business, why are you working in a fish store and trying your damnedest to convince me to do this business thing? Like, if it's a good business thing, why aren't you just doing the business thing? And I was like, I'm not interested. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not interested. Yeah, I know crypto is so fucking open Ponzi scheme. It's not even funny, and then the amount of people that just buy into it thinking it's a good investment just fucking blows my mind. But we are now currently living in the world's dumbest fucking timeline, so I don't care anymore. I've stopped giving a shit about most things. It doesn't matter anymore. The world's going to hell on a fast train. Let's see. 3 Anubius. Nice. I need to trim the plants. In fact, we might do that tonight too. I need to trim the plant in my 29. Yeah, it's a fine line, Laura. That's why I say that's what when they look at the, how does this function? Are you driving around with a car full of merchandise, selling merchandise, or are you driving around talking to people, trying to convince them to join? You know. All right, so let's move on to the next tank. Again, I don't know if we're going to actually set this filter up tonight. It seems like it's a big pain in the ass. The main pain in the ass is going to be that hose that's all twisted around like that and hooking it back up and putting the spray bar back on it and getting it back in the tank. So I just don't feel like doing that tonight. It's already almost 9 o'clock. So I'll probably do that sometime this week. I don't necessarily need to do it on video. My YouTube channel is functionally dead at this point. I mean, I make so little money off of it. It's just ridiculous. So I'm not too worried about getting it on video and all that kind of stuff. But at some point, you're going to see what we're going to have the filter back on this tank. We tried. I took it off. I thought it would be an interesting experiment, but it's just not cutting the mustard. What in the hell is that? Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Hang on, everybody. You're going to see a really neat looking Anubias flower in just a moment when we get to the next tank, and we are going to cut that off. So I will have some Anubias for sale if anybody wants any. I've already got some in the other room from when I snipped some out of some other tank somewhere that I don't remember now. But it's like a narrow leaf Anubias. I don't know what flavor it is. It's just some brand of Anubias. But it's got a narrow leaf, like more of the like a spearhead type rather than the broader leaf. But this is the one here we're going to be trimming. I know he's hard to see right now, but my angelfish gets up in this corner and it's hard to get past this Anubias. It's so big. But look at this bract coming up off the top of it. You see that line? Look at it. It's sticking up out of the top of the water. It's actually going to break the surface. So we could probably pull some of that Java out of there. That Java's getting out of control. And we can definitely trim down some of that Java. That's getting out of control. So this is only a 29-gallon tank, and we need to open it up so those fish can actually move around in there. So we will do that. We're not gonna worry about that tonight. We'll do that some other time. Like I was just saying, I'll get to that whenever I get to it. It's whatever. It's just putting a filter on the tank. But I'm tired of looking at this tank being all fucking filthy and disgusting. But look at it. Look at it. Look how filthy it is. It's always filthy. Getting tired of it. Aqua Balls, how are you this evening? Let's see, Mel. The ice cream truck. Where's Mel? Is Mel here? Well, it's not dirty in the sense that it has contaminants in it, like the fish are, being exposed to ammonia or, wildly excessive nitrate levels or something like that. I don't know why my camera is not really feeling right on its mount tonight. I'll have to look into that. It's all fucking wobbly, like something broke. Let's me see what's going on here. That's what I thought. It's just a thumb screw that I need to tighten down. If I can get to it, hang on, everybody. Oh, you're going to be difficult, aren't you? I was going to try to show it to you with the camera, but it's underneath. It's on the foot that mounts the camera to the thing. So I would have a hard time showing it to you, even if I wanted to. All right, well, that's going to have to be as tight as I can get it for now. That'll work. Honestly, as long as I don't keep waggling on the fucking camera all night, you'll be fine. So let me leave you alone and get back to not bothering you. Oh, broken seam. That sucks. If some of the plant leaves are turning yellow, that could be a nitrogen deficiency. It could be a calcium deficiency, although calcium deficiencies usually come out in all kind of weird ways. Hey, Fish Tropic. Well, that sounds interesting. Your plant, sometimes the lights will, if you've got too much light on them, you can sort of bleach out the leaf and it'll turn yellow. Sometimes if it's not getting enough light, it can turn yellow. Sometimes as plants age and new growth comes in and new leaves are developing, some of the older leaves will yellow and die off. That's natural sometimes. So there's a variety of reasons. All right. Let me get another swig of my iced tea here. I still have some weed in the bowl that I packed up while Steve and I were out. We looked at some pieces of wood lying out on the. There's a place out there where on the reservoir where the water, it's like a nook in the corner, and the wind always blows up into that corner. And of course, anything that floats ends up back there. And there's all kind of junk, tires and stuff like that. But there's a bunch of wood up there too. And we found some really neat pieces of stumps. My wife has a area of the garden that she refers to as her stumpery, and we have a lot of different pieces of wood, and we take longer lengths of wood and we use it to lie along the border or to separate areas of the garden. So we try to utilize fallen branches and stuff like that around the yard as much as possible. It's a good way of not having to deal with it, but we can put it in the garden and use it. But now that she's building something literally called a stumpery, we're definitely looking around for interesting pieces of wood and tree stumps and stuff like that to bring home and add to it. And that particular area has some really neat stuff. The one, which was the coolest looking piece out there, was kind of big when I looked at it. It would do well in the garden, but getting it home would have been a nightmare. And then when I tried to move it, it was just immovable. So it either was the tree that was growing there at one point, or it's just so big and so much of it was buried down into the mud, silt, and whatever. And the only reason we could even get to it because the water was so low, we were able to walk right up to it. But normally it's underwater. And so, again, it could be the remains of the original tree that was there decades ago and has died. There's plenty of them still out there near the shoreline. When the water level goes down, you can find them. They look like an old rotten piece of wood lying on the shoreline, and you go to pick it up, and it's solid as a rock, and it's still in the ground, and like you're not moving it. And this felt like one of those kind of pieces. So I don't know. Let's see. You could submit all my YouTube content into AI and have it be an AI, Dan. Oh, I know. That's definitely that kind of stuff is out there. Tony, how are you? All right, Laura. Yes, Tony, those are black skirt tetras. I got a bunch of them. I have black skirt tetras in several tanks. I'm a big fan of them. We don't get enough sun to grow sunflowers. I wish we could, believe me. I am doing well enough, Tony. Heavyweight, how are you? Any advice for cutting and replanting Ludwigia? As far as I know, you should be able to just cut it and replant it. Oh, I'm a big fan of the black skirt tetras. They're easy to keep. This is a mix. Some of them are long fin and some of them are the standard model. But it's the pearl gouramis mixed in with the skirt tetras. And then, of course, I got a bunch of loaches and stuff swimming around in there. But this tank that we're going to be looking at also had the skirt tetras in it at some point. I might still have some skirt tetras in there. Hold on. I'm going to have to get something to tighten this camera down. It's wobbling all over the place. Let me get a screwdriver or something. I'm a man. Let me use the back edge of this knife. No, let's not do that. I'll use the back edge of this teaspoon. That's much less manly, but probably going to be a lot more effective. All right. Hang on, everybody. I'm probably going to be pointing at the ceiling or something here stupid for a minute. Let me turn some light on. Let me get underneath it here. It's got a little thing that I theoretically should be able to flip down with my thumbnail and use as a the mount that screws into the bottom has like a little pin that flips down, and then once it's flipped down, you can tighten it and then flip it back up out of the way so it's flush again, and then you can mount the camera. And I can't get the thing to flip down, and so what I needed to do, it's also got a big groove in it like you can for a screwdriver. And so I put the back edge of that spoon in there and used that like a screwdriver and tightened it down. So now we should be good and solid, and you shouldn't have wobbly neck anymore because you look like you were getting wobbly neck there. All right, let's, do we want to feed this tank first? Now let's cut some stuff out of there first, and then I can feed them because the poor fishies can probably hardly move at the way they're in there now. So let's turn that light back on. Let's move the lid off the top. Can you see what we're doing in there? Let's get my scissors. You know what? Let's also get a bucket so I can throw the stuff into the bucket, dear Liza. I have so many buckets now. Every time I get done with another cat litter bucket, I add a bucket to my stack of buckets, dear Liza. I got so many buckets. I don't ever have to worry about having to have a leaky bucket. All right, let us first go in and trim this Anubias. I don't even know how many pieces of Anubias this is going to be, but we're going to go in with the good old waggity chip. And we got a few loose leaves. So there's a piece of Anubias if anybody's interested in some Anubias. It's already got some roots developing on it. And it already comes pre-stocked with a flower for you. So there's the chunk of Anubias we're going to pull out of there. Let's see what we got going on up here. I got so much stuff going on up here. This is just babies mostly. It's that kind of stuff. I'm pulling some of the roots off of some of the smaller stuff. All right, so that's some of that Anubias off of there. Now this is going to be the beastly one. This stuff is so rooted into the bottom and so grown onto these rocks and whatnot. Come on. I'm trying to just snap a piece off. Oh man, it just won't break. Ooh, knocking the whole lid down inside there. Calm down, everybody. Nice. There's some Nubius. Some Java. I still think we could probably get some more of that out of there. That's a lot of Java. Good grief. Oh man, this is such a thick mat of the stuff. I'm going to pull the whole mat out. God, it's been in there for so many years. Holy crap. That is a big fucking wad. Look at that mat of roots. So I've got a big thing of Anubias if anybody wants it. And what we'll do is we'll take that little piece of Anubias and we'll put that back in there. Tuck it under the edge of the rock and let that whole process start all over. All right. So we could probably add a little water to the tank. It's a little bit low, but I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. We do need to throw some food in there because I haven't done that yet. My hands are all wet. I don't really want to do this, but now I got a bunch of fish food stuck in my stupid hand. But I got a pond. I can just dunk my hand in. All right. That was long overdue. That was some beastly sized Java in there. Good grief. Now that I've got some light in the tank, I can see how much growth is on the glass. I'm sorry, angelfish, freaking you out. I know, I'm sorry. But you can actually see all these green spots and everything all over the glass. That's all algae. Never even realized that was in there. Let me mop up some of the water off the top of this bucket. I made a hell of a mess. Fortunately, I just have cheap-ass indoor-outdoor carpet down here, and so anything that gets on the ground, it does make the basement moist. But I got the fan on in the other room. It should pull most of the moisture out of here. All right, let me find out where I was back here somewhere. Oh, there it was. I've never bred black skirt tetras. I've never seen babies. My Buenos Aires do, my diamonds do, but I've never once seen a small baby black skirt tetra. Lemon tetras, I would love to get some lemon tetras. Those have been on my list forever, but I've never gotten any. If you move to America there, Annie, I'll ship them plants to you. Colombian Black Phantom, Red Phantom, Diamond Tetras. Nice. I usually do the plants for $25, and I'll do a mixed bag and load it up with as much as I can get in there. Yeah, I definitely want Congo Tetras too. Not the albinos, but I don't definitely want the Congos again. Yeah, Congos get kind of big and they need a lot of swimming around room. I honestly think even a 55 is kind of small for Congos. Golden Congo, that sounds nice. I don't know what kind I had. They were just sold as Congo Tetras. Like I said, I'll sell them for well, well, I don't know. I'll say at the most $35 if I have to use the larger package, but probably $25 for them. Again, you can email me if anybody's interested in those plants. If not, I'll find a place for them. I'll stick them in another tank. Let's go have a look in the other room. I think I threw that other Anubias in that tank. Say hello to Uma, everybody. So these are my grow out buckets. Yeah, this is the Anubias I got right here. I think I cut that out of my wife's tank. So I've got that available too. And this has got mad roots on it. And then I got Java Fern and other shit. I just leave it sitting in buckets. Other than power outages, that light's been on for, well, you can see how long that light's been there. So that's one. And here's the other one that I got. I got fish and shrimp in this tank. This just had nothing but plants in it for the longest time. And again, this light, that's all the light that's on that tank is that little thing. And that's been sitting on there for years and years and years. All right, I still got a burned out light on the 40 here. So the front of this tank is going to be dark, but the back part is still properly lighted. Oop, hang on. Don't have you on your perch properly. So this tank is going to appear dark, but there's nothing I can do about that right now. The front light's burned out. All right, let's throw some Vibra Bites in here for everybody. The discus certainly know it's dinner time coming. All right. All right, you look at that tank. I'm going to start thinking about sitting down. In fact, I'm going to sit down. TK Tropicals, how are you? $200 for a swordtail? Holy crap. Trio for 200 is still a lot. I already let you know, Shirley. $25 for the plant. That includes the shipping. I went to a fish store No problem there, Shirley. There's a fish store that I don't mention because for reasons I don't mention, but I don't mention their name. They're kind of dickish about various things, and one of the things they're kind of dickish about is letting me shoot video in their store. And so, all right, motherfuckers, you don't want to advertise, and I won't give you advertising. So I never mention their name. And they're just unmovable on their prices. They will never give you a penny, no matter if you buy a bunch, if you buy frequently from them, if you're trying to buy a large grouping of fish. Nope. If it says $10 a piece, it's $10 a piece. If you buy 10 of them, it's $100 fucking. I'm not going to do 10 of them for 95. It's 100. They will not do 95 for 10 of them. And so I went in there one day, and they had two of the most gorgeous, what did they call them? Vampire swordtails. They were crimson red. Their eyes were red. They were just stunning. But it was two males, and they were selling them for $40 for a pair. And or like it was 25 a piece or 40 for the pair or something like that. And I kept trying to get them to come down to 20 for one of them or something like that. And they kept saying, nope, it's 25 for one, but it's, 40 for the pair. And I kept explaining to them, it's not a pair, it's two males. That doesn't do me any good. If it was a male and a female, then I'd spend the money because I'm going to get more of them in the future, and the expensive fish will pay off for me. But two males is not a pair of fish. And they would not. I don't remember exactly what the deal is, but it was something I was trying to get them to give me one of them or give me a break on the price or something, and they would not budge. And it was some ridiculous amount of price. Maybe it was $40 per fish or something. I think it might have been $40 per fish. I fought with them. I was in that store for like an hour. I kept going back up and trying again, and I talked to a different employee, and they'd go up and talk to the boss, and they'd come back and they'd say, nope, it's still no. He said, no, it's still no. And it got to the point where it was becoming obvious that if I kept trying to get a little discount on these fish, they were going to ask me to leave the fucking store or something. And so I wound up buying a couple of other things that were in there, and I walked out without this fish, and I've never been back in that store since. But I never shopped at that store very often in the first place for reasons I've mentioned. He treated that store like it was his hobby, and he was kind of doing you a favor by having the store available for you to shop there. You should be grateful that he's there for you. And I just don't really see it that way. Cecil's back. The betta was going to kill your tetras? I would think your tetras would be a little late night. Mike, how are you? I honestly don't know what those minnows are. I think they are mostly satin fin shiners, but there's also some gambusia in there. There's at least one or two gambusia in the tank. So again, I'm not 100% sure what they are. I caught them at my local reservoir when they were tiny, tiny little fish. They were just little silver specks swimming around in the water. I could barely even see them. And so I brought a whole shitload of them home. And that is all that is now left. But I probably brought 100 of them home originally. So it was fun watching them grow up. I started them out in the quarantine tank, and I put them into this 40. And then I got most of them because I've got the discus in this 40. Having 100 other fish in there was stressing the shit out of those poor discus. And so I got most of the minnows out, and I put them in my other big 125 tank. I don't know if you're just tuning in or not, but this tank down here, I put the other minnows in that, and that looked really cool too, because I had about 50 or 60 minnows swimming around in that tank. And just slowly over time, one by one, they've either gotten eaten by other fish or they've jumped out, and I found them dead on the floor. And so now we've only got about 4 or 5 minnows, 6 minnows left swimming around in that tank. So I'm probably not going to bring any more of those home because they're just going to jump out of the tank on me. But I do believe they were a lot of them anyway, were satin fin shiners. And as far as what we're smoking on tonight or what we're vaping on tonight, I do not know. I think this is Purple Kush, but I'm not sure. I lose track. I didn't label it. Whoosh. But that's a hit. That's good hit. It got you guys all knocked wonky like that. What am I growing outside? If you're asking what I'm growing outside, like weed-wise, I don't grow anything outside. I don't get enough sun. But if you're asking what I'm growing outside in my garden, I actually did just post a yard tour video on my other channel. I have another channel, Dan's Outdoors and More. I do yard tour stuff around my gardens in our yard. And I do fishing and kayaking videos and just outdoorsy kind of stuff. So you can check out Dan's Outdoors and More. There's probably a link down below somewhere on my channel. But I did just post a video of a yard tour. So if you want to see what's actually in our gardens and what's coming in and how they're coming along so far this year, that's now over there. I did post that, so check that out. But mostly we have shade plants. Not heavy shade necessarily, but most of them are shade type oriented. A lot of fern, a lot of astilbe, a lot of lilies, a lot of hosta. We have a lot of other stuff too, but you know, the bulk of it is that kind of stuff. The heuchera. As far as I know, the pet store is still in business, but it's been years since I've been out there. I don't know about the Pandagara heavyweight. I would assume that the Pandagara wouldn't be a problem. Agara is pretty much like a bottom dwelling kind of fish, isn't it? I don't think any of those would be too problematic with a betta fish. I've had live bears in with this one, and it's never been problematic. He flares at ram's horns? Well, that's interesting. Oh, you're welcome there, late night, Mike. Or Mr. P, I should say. I'm not sure what you go by. I don't know there. If he's flaring at snails... Oh, thank you, Laura. The place I fish is full of bass. They do. I have got the largemouth and the smallmouth. Oh, nice, Zini. But we don't have trout in there because it's a lake, and it's just not cold enough for trout to really be in there. Some of the tributaries that feed into it, if you go upstream a little ways away from the reservoir, you will actually find some trout there. Graves Run in particular has trout in it, and the Gunpowder River, which is what the reservoir is effectively made out of. The dam is on the Gunpowder River. It's the Gunpowder River that's been impounded to create the reservoir, and there are definitely trout in the Gunpowder River. Some naturally, and some are stock. They put thousands of trout in there every year, but they don't put them where they will get into the reservoir. All the trout get put downstream of the reservoir. So I guess theoretically they could swim downstream and get into Loch Raven Reservoir, but again, it's too warm. They usually don't swim that far downstream. They stay up in the colder water areas. But the larger bass will eat smaller bass. Both largemouth and smallmouth will prey on other bass. And of course, they eat the sunfish and all that. But there's no shortage of any of those kind of fish. There's just so many of them. There's just, it's just a normal, natural amount. The ones out there that's in huge numbers that are invasive are the carp. And they don't seem to have much of an impact on the trout and bass population anyway. Oh, I'm glad you came by too, Mr. P. Mosquito larvae and brine. I really don't bother with that. I get a lot of people that ask me if I use the, do I grow mosquito larvae out in the yard in the summer and everything? And I don't. It's just not worth it. I give them the just flake food and prepared food. If you will notice, we still have eggs back there. See all them eggs? Not the white ones on the cord, but the tan ones that are actually on the heater. And of course, every time I move over here, the damn fish gets in the way. But you can see the eggs are still there. They were there Friday night. And after the live stream, a friend of mine sent me an email and recommended that I put a nightlight on the tank that would provide roughly the same amount of light as a full moon. And that would give the discus some light so they'd be able to see and protect the eggs at night. And I thought that sounded like a very good idea. And so I've been using this little light here. I've been putting it on the floor and just pointing it up at the tank so this corner stays lit. And it is now Sunday, and I still have those discus eggs in there. And some of them are starting to turn white. I don't know how they're supposed to work, but I know the brown coloration or that sort of tan color is normal, which to me, they look dead when I first saw them because they lay them and they already come out looking tan. Those nearite snail eggs are like bright white, and that's what I tend to think of as eggs of being white. And so when I saw all those discus eggs being brown like that, I thought, oh, well, that's not good. But it turns out that's what they're supposed to look like. So those eggs are all white, but are all tan, but some of them are starting to turn white. So I don't know if that's part of the process. I don't know how long it takes them to hatch, but I've never had eggs last a full 3-day period before without getting eaten. So I'm guessing his suggestion of putting that light on the tank at night is working. Again, I've never had them be alive this long. He sent me an email today asking if I was prepared to actually start raising discus fry and like, how are we going to, what am I going to do with the fry? And the answer to that, if you're watching, is I do not know. I'm just going to kind of come down and wait and see if there's fry swimming around in the tank. If I remember correctly, I think discus fry feed off of the slime coat of their parents when they're brand new. And as they get older, they start feeding off other stuff. So I don't know how well they would be able to protect them if they hatch out and whether the other fish are going to start gobbling up the little babies. I don't know if I did scoop the babies out and put them, say, in my quarantine tank with all my shrimps. Do they need to be with their parents? I don't know. But this is the only tank I really have available that I could put them in. As you can see, it's like a shrimp circus in there. I got a zillion shrimp, but that's all that's in there, shrimp and a few snails and a cat. So I think if I put discus fry in there, they would be okay. I don't think the shrimp would try to eat them, but I really don't know what to do if I come down here and see that I'm starting to have a little baby discus in the tank. I think it'll be really neat. And I would absolutely love the ability to tell all the discus keepers out there to go pound fucking sand and kiss my ass. But I'm not there yet. Or of course, I can already tell discus keepers that because, look at my discus and look at them breeding in there and everything else. So I can already tell them to pound sand. Oh, I'm down to 5% battery on my tablet here. I'm going to have to plug this in. Not sure about how many brown trout are wild in the gunpowder, but I do believe they stock it with the brown trout. Low light autoclone seeds. I don't know. Hang on, everybody. I need to get a cord so that I can plug my tablet in. The battery is damn near dead on me. So here is a cord. And now I need to plug it into something. And I think I can plug it. Oh, God, jeez Louise. Tripped over one of the legs of my tripod. If you didn't notice me bump you there, I think I can plug into this and it will start charging the tablet, but who knows? I might just make the live stream go away. I'm plugging into my laptop. Well, it says it's charging and I'm at 4% battery, so I think I've got enough cord. What happens? Why do I keep hearing that noise? Stop making that noise. All right, we'll set it down over here and see if it doesn't keep. Stop making that noise. Oh, it's asking me if it wants to autoplay my photos and videos and shit. No, I do not. Trust me, you don't want to see the videos that are on my phone. We don't want to set up the tablet. We don't want to set it up. Actually, that's not my phone. That's my tablet. So there's no videos on that. We're safe. All right, I'm going to come around there and sit down here in just a minute. Call it a night. I am done doing stuff for the day. I've been busy since I woke up this morning at 10:30. It was not even 11 o'clock when I got up this morning. But I knew Steve was probably already up and moving, and I didn't want to, last week I got up at friggin' noon or something, and he was like on his way out to the water already. I was like, oh, shit. And he'd get started. So today when I woke up, I wanted to roll back over and go back to sleep so bad, but I didn't. I got up. And by 11 o'clock, I was already getting my kayak ready and all that kind of stuff. So I've had an early day today, and I didn't get a nap. So I have been awake for like 10 and a half hours straight now, almost 11 hours straight. I don't know how I'm doing it. All right, we're still at 4%. Maybe if we can just stay there. The water is a little bit low in the reservoir. I'll say it's low for this time of year, but it's not low overall. It's down like 3 feet or something like that. The last year that I was out there a couple of years ago where it was like low and that we were like talking about it and everybody was like, holy shit. It was down like 23 feet or 25 feet or something. It was low. Like the boat launch didn't look like a boat launch anymore. It looked like a river, and you just sort of drove your truck down to the river bank somewhere over there. And that was bad. It's not like that now. It's a little bit down, and you got some beach there at the boat launch, whereas you're not really supposed to have some beach, but we do. So that's unusual for spring. It usually looks like that in maybe, September or something at the end of summer when it's getting a little bit low. But we're starting there this year, so we'll see. But who knows? We'll have 1 week of torrential rain or something, and it'll fill it all back up and it'll be full. So we'll see what happens. What I feed my fish, Mr. P, is just the prepared foods like granules, and every time I'm touching this, it's causing it to reconnect and bring shit up on my computer asking me if I want to start doing something on it. Maybe I should try plugging into something else. I don't know. Let me go try something else here a minute. Hey, Mei Ling, what's going on? Steve made it home. I do not have Denison barbs. Hang on, everybody. So what I feed my fish is all of your basic I use Tetra color enhancing crisps. I use, watch out, cat. All right, I'm unplugging this from the computer now, and we're going to try plugging it into an actual plug outlet and see what happens. It should be charging, but I don't know. All right, it says it's charging, and it's not fucking with my computer anymore. And I'm having pains in my back here. Hey, Christopher. So I don't know how much I'm going to be able to look up, because that's what hurts my back, is when I look up, I get really bad pains in my back. The fish with the black stripes on them in this tank are Siamese algae eaters. So I used to feed all of the frozen bloodworms, and I had the frozen brine shrimp and the frozen mysis shrimp and all that kind of stuff. But I found that I ran into issues with the bloodworms. I'm not going to go into a big discussion about bloodworms at the moment, but I found that there's issues with bloodworms, and so I decided not to feed with bloodworms, and I began sort of researching into what everybody talks about with the fish food, and they talk about how, you know, you should give your fish a variety of food and whatnot. And if you actually look at what the nutrients and stuff like that that are listed on the frozen brine shrimp, for example, if you look at the protein content and stuff like that, it's not really that great for your fish. It's nothing, you know, amazing or that they need. And I came to realize in time that in the same way that I don't have to like give my cats like raw liver and stuff like that, they can live just fine on 9 lives and Friskies their whole lives. Your fish, they're getting all the nutrients they need in your prepared fish food as long as you're using a good, decent quality brand. I do mix it up. Like I'll use granules, and I'll use algae wafers, and I'll use flakes, or I'll use the Vibra Bites sometimes. Sometimes I'll put the granules or crisps or something like that in there. But mostly when I mix it up like that, it is not for the reasons of the variety of ingredients, because they're all basically made out of the same stuff. It's mostly to get a variety of types of food. Some stuff I want to sink faster. Some I want to swirl around in the water column. Sometimes I want it to float on the surface a little longer. And so for those reasons, I will use granules one day and flakes another and that sort of thing. But overall, with the exception of the algae wafers, all those kind of fish foods are basically mostly the same. If you read the ingredients, they all contain mostly the same stuff. They may not all be in exactly the same order. There are some foods that are more geared directly towards cichlids, whereas there are some that are geared more directly towards plants that eat vegetables and stuff like that. Go by that kind of stuff. Obviously, if you have predatory fish, get fish food that's geared towards predatory fish, but using a good quality brand like Omega-1 or Tetra or something like that. And if you get the proper fish food that's for the types of fish you have, for example, if you have goldfish, you should use goldfish food. Goldfish require less protein than other fish. And so you don't want to feed them tropical fish food. Get goldfish food for your goldfish. And I do have goldfish food for my koi and my goldfish. So as long as you've got the appropriate food for your fish, modern prepared fish food is scientifically prepared to have all of the nutrients that your fish are going to need for the most part. At least that's been my experience. And, again, these discus, for the most part, their whole life have never eaten anything other than prepared food. When they were very young, as I said, they did get some bloodworms and some stuff like that. But I stopped feeding them that kind of food when they were, the size of a silver dollar. And they've basically spent their whole life on nothing but flakes and granules and things like that. And they look pretty good. Come on. There we go. All right, 5%. We are moving in the right direction. Let's see. Not live brine. Thank you for the plant compliment. A lot of the tiny ones. Oh, the shrimp. Well, hopefully once you get a few in there, if they establish, you'll have all the shrimp you need in a while. And next time you're out here, I can always give you more if you want. Exactly. If you got a discus on the food container. Oh, how do I feel about live brine? I'm okay with it. I'm one of those people that if I don't see a reason to do it. Now, again, with live brine, if you're breeding them and you're growing the brine shrimp or something like that, it's good. And I'll say off the top before I get all distracted on some other topic, the benefit of live brine shrimp is the natural activity for the fish. I don't know if you want to call it enrichment. Other animals that might have higher brain functions than a fish, you might call that enrichment, where you're trying to provide them with stuff that keeps them from getting bored. So having natural food to hunt is good, and so anything that's going to promote natural behavior in your fish is always going to be a good thing. So if you've got a source of live brine shrimp and you're throwing them in there, or the live mosquito larvae or something like that, that's great. Go ahead and do that. For me, though, I stopped using the frozen stuff because, for one, it was the bloodworms, which are a certain type. I can never remember the insect it comes from, but it's a certain type of insect larvae, and it's problematic. I don't know exactly why it's problematic, but I am far from the only person. Even the box itself will tell you not to feed this on a regular basis. Only give these to your fish once in a while. They don't complete the thought of saying because your fish will fucking die if you feed these all the time. But if you feed them too many of those bloodworms, it'll kill your fish. I don't know why. I don't know what the mechanism is that causes the fish to die, and I'm not going to get into a conversation about it now because we've gone over it over it a million times on this channel. But because that is an issue and it's a known issue, I look at them as though, what benefit do I really get from them? The nutritional content is, nil. There's not a lot to it. It's a little bit of protein and mostly water. The behavior, as they sort of float and swirl around the water, the fish can kind of snatch them out of the water, but they can also do that with flake food. So I'm not really getting any benefit of it being like genuinely live prey that they're hunting. So I just don't see the benefit of it. And so if there's a small chance that it could harm or even kill my fish, it costs me extra money to go out and buy it. It's something I have to keep frozen, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to prepare to get ready to go in the tank. And again, it is something that may likely cause damage. And so why would I spend money on that? Just not use it. I'm not going to buy that product anymore. And so I don't. And when I stopped buying that product, I kind of sort of thought the same thing about like the brine shrimp and the mysis shrimp. Like, what's the point? Like what benefit do I really get from spending all this money on this extra food that I have to go, all the way over to the PetSmart, which is in the next town over? Like, why? What am I getting out of this mysis shrimp? How valuable of a dietary supplement is this? From what I can read on the ingredients, it's not even as good as the food I normally give them. I'd be better off just giving them the flake food every day. And once I kind of realized that, I just started giving them the regular food every day. I've still got some old shit sitting in the bottom of the freezer over there. It's been in there for years, but I definitely have some bloodworms in there, but I might have some mysis shrimp or something like that that's been sitting in there forever. I just stopped feeding them the frozen foods one day, and I've never looked back. It's been years since my fish have gotten anything other than the prepared pellets or flakes or granules or algae wafers, like I've been saying. Oh, we're up to 7% now. We're cranking some juice into this battery. All right. Oh, you're quite welcome. When you ask me a question, you definitely get more of an answer than you probably wanted, especially when I go off. The best is when I misunderstand the question or I go off on a tangent and talk about something wrong for 15 minutes, and then I come back only to find out, oh, that's not what you meant. And then I have to start over and say something else, which is probably something, oh, I don't know about that. Sorry. And then it was a lot of talking for nothing. But that's the story of my life. Try it, Christopher. See if it works. I saw him do it in a movie once. Give him a waffle. It's a thing on another channel. I got you. If it's on another channel, I'm unaware of it. I don't watch other people's YouTubes. Now, it's only the bloodworms. It's not the tubifax or the mysis shrimp or anything. I just stopped doing all of that stuff. Well, you're quite welcome there, Mr. P. How do I keep algae off my plants? Mostly I don't, or the snails eat it, or the fish eat it. Here, come here and have a look at this, since I'm standing right here. You see that big ass snail right there? You see that big ass snail right there? I'm pretty sure I saw some big ass snails somewhere else. Oh, look, there's some big ass snails up in there. You see that big snail right there? That's how I keep the algae off my plants. Mostly either I don't. Oh, look at him hiding in the bushes. I didn't even see him back there. Man, my lily pads are almost gone. I wonder if my plants are getting ready to go into their dormant cycle. I was expecting to see some flower spikes, but I usually have full, complete coverage of the lily pads up there, but it's looking really sparse now. Look at all my little babies down here, though. Look at all the little teeny pads coming out. There's a gazillion of them. And you can even see the roots coming through on the substrate down here. But I got a bunch of little baby pads coming out. If you look in the back towards where the spray bar is, look at all them little pads coming up back there. Again, I wonder if this is getting ready to go through its dormant cycle. Poor fishies. Sorry about that, everybody. I scared all my poor fishies away. Look, she's still back there guarding her eggs. It's going to be interesting. Be the first time if I've breed snakes. Little crab spider. All I can say is that little bastard better not jump on my leg when I'm sitting here. Oop, let me turn you around. I got you facing the wrong direction now. All right, let me see where I was. I've got lots of snails. Most of my snails, though, are either the ram's horn or like pond snails. I don't have a lot of the fancy ones. Although I do have some fancy ones. I do have a black racer snail in here that I see from time to time. And I don't know if you can see this one right here. Not really. If you look on the glass, you see this weird spot right there. That's a nearite snail. And I do have some other nearite snails in this tank. Oh, you got a large snail die. Interesting. I have blackworm pellets. I am in northern Maryland. Put him in a tent to eat the bugs. Oh, the spider. He's about to get the damn. Up in Connecticut. No, you see, he hasn't actually moved, but he has turned towards Squeaker. Look at him. Oh, he's just waiting to get him. His butt is right there, and the spider is just eyeing him up. Look at him, tooties. Doing him, doing him, doing him. You got a predator coming, cat. You're gonna get got. You got a spider coming to get you. Oh, are you gonna get the spider? Oh, look at him. He's right here. No, he ran right under the damn cat leg. Now I'm not picking you up now, cat. You got a spider on you somewhere. He's contaminated. I'm not really afraid of spiders necessarily, but I'm not a fan of them either. I ain't pick. Oh, there's a spider still on the floor. It didn't get on the cat at all, but it's underneath of his leg. It's hiding. Nope. Every time I try to chase it away, it runs. It sees the darkness. It's running. It keeps running under the cat. So I'm gonna try to stop scaring the spider away because it's now completely under the cat. I don't even know where it is anymore, but I'm definitely not picking Squeaker up until I find out where that spider is. I definitely don't think it's going to bother me. It's only a little crab spider, like I said, but still, we get a lot of jumping spiders here in the house too. And jumping spiders, I'm sorry, are just I just can't be afraid of a jumping spider. They're so adorable. I pick them up in my hand. I carry them outside and let them go. Or mostly, honestly, I just usually leave them alone and let them do their thing. Jumping spiders, it's not like they leave webs all over the place or anything. They just prowl around the house hunting for bugs that I don't want in the house anyway. So I'm a big fan of the little jumping spiders. I think they're adorable and they serve a valuable purpose. But not too often we see the crab spiders indoors. I usually see them out in the garden on the plants. And we get a lot of different ones. I usually see green ones. Oh, there he is. He's crawling across the floor again. He's coming my way now. He's probably coming back for revenge. Oh, shit. He's coming right for me. Shit, he might be going for the cat's throat. Look at him. He made it all the way to there. He's almost made it to safety. There he goes. Be free. Now I don't have to worry about him. He's safely tucked away underneath of the inner workings of the hardware behind the tank, he can find all the bugs he wants back there, or possibly she, depending on the spider. I usually do 12 on, 12 off with the lights. What if there's another one? I'm sure there's more than one down here in the basement. Believe me, I find spiders around here all the time. What did someone just ask me? Oh, the lights. I usually come down and turn them on about 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, something like that. It depends on whether it's a live stream day or not. I tend to turn them on a little later on my live stream days, just in case I run late. But the idea is 10 till 10. They get, I always think of tropical fish. And once you get into tropical, regions, you get about the same amount of light, sun and dark every day. In the equator, we only get these really long days and short nights and whatnot, northern and southern hemispheres. Once you get into tropical areas, it's pretty much 12 and 12 throughout the day, throughout the year. And so I've just always kind of gone by that assumption. If I have tropical fish, I'll just do 12 on, 12 off. I don't do it religiously like my weed plants. Obviously those have to be 12 on, 12 off, but I have those all set up on timers and everything else. But in here, I just come down and turn the lights on in the morning, usually around 10 to 11, and then I turn them off when the live stream's over. So about 12 and 12. Burn them witches. Holy crap, I'm up to 12% battery now. Is there anything else we need to go over? My back is freaking killing me. And I don't know why. It's been good all day today. I had a weird day in the wind. Normally, I'm the one complaining about the wind, and Steve doesn't have that much of an issue. But just because of circumstances, the way the wind was blowing, the way my kayak is designed versus the way his is designed, the wind was really giving him a hard time today. And it didn't bother me at all. I was just paddling along like nothing. And I was watching him, whereas I was just dipping the paddle. Like I was just moving along, barely putting effort into it. He was fucking struggling. He was working that fucking kayak. That wind was pushing him all over the place. I felt bad for him a couple of times. At one point, we got to an area where the wind was blowing like out of a cove on our side, and it was causing the waves to come in on us almost broadside, which really fucks my kayak up. I don't like it. And so we got to a point where I was just like, fuck it, I got to go. So I kind of put my head down and put some paddle down. And I moved on out of there. And I got so far up that as I started to go around the bend where the wind was breaking a little, I looked over my shoulder and I didn't even see Steve behind me. I thought, oh shit. I thought like I should pay more attention. And then I looked a little further back and I saw him back there struggling in the wind. For a minute, I thought like he had capsized or something, because I had some pretty solid waves hitting me broadside, and I didn't know if maybe one rolled him over or something. But I had to sit and wait for him to catch up because that wind was just crushing him. He said it was just all he could do to move through. It was just pushing him backwards as he was trying to paddle through it. So, yeah, I don't know. Something about every time Steve and I go out it fucking rains on us, or we have crazy, stupid, windy day or something. It's kind of our thing now at this point. It's becoming a tradition. Yeah, there you go, Steve. Parts of that paddle were miserable for you. I had a couple spots that were a little rough, but I wouldn't call them miserable. The part I'm thinking about, though, was not that part, because that part was so bad that I lost you in the distance behind me. The part I'm talking about was when we were coming up towards the area where the foundation is, and we were out in that open water, and I was kind of behind you. I literally was just dipping the paddling along. The way the wind was blowing was kind of helping me. All I was doing was sort of steering barely putting effort into it, and I was not only keeping pace with Steve, but he was going sideways and pushing this way and struggling paddling this way and fighting to try to get back to straight, and then it was blowing him just completely sideways. It was like he was changing lanes and moving to the right, by 10 feet, and they had to paddle back towards me, and like the wind was just fucking wrecking his paddle. And for me, it was weird. It was like it wasn't impacting me at all. I was just paddling along like I was on a fucking stroll through the park, and I was beating the hell out of Steve. So that was just a weird day out on the water. It was wind coming all different directions and swirling and blowing, and one of those kind of days. Ooh, ocean kayaking, that'll be cool. Can I give you 10 types of low light plants? I doubt it. I honestly don't. I got the stuff I've got, and I haven't paid that much attention to plants in 10 years, because once you buy plants and they start reproducing and you start moving them around in your tanks, pretty soon all your tanks have all the same plants. So anything that's called a fern is going to be fine in low light. So if it's some sort of Java fern, I've got some African water fern in that tank. It does well. So anything that's called a fern is going to do well in low light. Anything that's called a moss is going to do well in low light. Anubias, of course, does well in low light. Java fern does well in low light. I've got crypt, but I don't exactly have low light tanks. I think this would do okay in low light. I don't think it would grow the way it grows in my tanks, but I think you could get crypt to survive in low light. And honestly, that's about all I've got in my tanks. I have some water sprite. Water sprite would probably do okay in low light if it was floating and it was at the surface. If you tried to plant it at the bottom, well, I guess water sprite would do okay too, because water sprite technically is a kind of fern. So even water sprite, I think, would do okay in low light. So I don't know if that's 10 kinds or not, but that's about all I can think of. We got another cicada year this year. I have never been ocean kayaking. I go out on the lake most of the time. I've done a little teeny dabbling in moving water, like rivers or whatever. But again, just getting my feet wet, so to speak, no pun intended. Never been out on an ocean or a bay or something like that had serious waves on it. My kayak is not meant for that kind of kayaking. My kayak is meant for nice, smooth touring on a nice, smooth, calm lake. It's not meant to go around corners quickly. And it is definitely not meant to do tricks. Holy crap, I am actually getting hungry now that I'm thinking about it. I'm starting to get that weird lightheaded feeling, so I'm going to have to start winding down here soon. No, that wasn't very big, was it? Yeah, ocean kayaking will be something completely different. I have some customers that are, not only do they ocean kayak a lot, they're actually instructors. They teach people how to do ocean kayaking. And they have kayaks. I can't remember the brand that makes them. I've never heard of it before. That's why I can't remember it. But they are composite kayaks made out of carbon fiber and Kevlar. And they are $6,000 kayaks. They look so amazing. They're just, I'd love to get in and paddle one of these. They don't look comfortable, but they look sleek as shit. They look like they would just fucking glide through the water. They look amazing. Beautiful kayaks. $6,000 a piece. Yeah, they're really sleek. They've got the really small kayak, so they can put the tight skirt on it. They're really narrow. Um, and I think hers is like 14 feet long, but she's really petite. She's like 5'2" or 5'1" or something like that. She handed me her paddle one day, and it was like it felt like it was like this long. It was like a little child's paddle. So again, she's really petite lady. But her kayak, I think, is 14, and his looked like it was probably a 16 and a half or something. His is a little bigger, a little stouter. But they're both really, really sleek kayaks. Mine is it's a Pungo 120. If you're familiar with kayaks, it's a pretty famous kayak. It's good for touring. It's I could load camping gear in there. I could go fishing in it. It's super comfortable, and it's great for just getting out on a lake and putting 10 or 15 miles of paddling behind you. I can do that anytime. It's not meant for rough water and all that kind of stuff. Paddling it downstream, I have gone in a few occasions where I've been in some flowing water going downstream. It's kind of fun. It's rough paddling it upstream, but paddling it downstream is a lot of fun. I don't know the name Malibu. That's not the brand name. If you're asking style, if you're asking like, is it a Malibu kayak, a style? I have no idea, but that's definitely not the brand name. If that's what you're asking. No, mine's a sit inside. And again, mine is a rec touring kayak. It's a little over 12 feet long. It's got a pretty sharp keel on it. It's got a semi V hull in the bottom, and then it's got sort of like a trailing keel that comes off the back. So as far as paddling, it goes in a straight line like a bitch. I mean, it just wants to just go in a straight line. It's genuinely hard to corner. I've done this on a few occasions, and Steve, if he's still awake, has witnessed me do this. If I just do full right paddle, for example, and just go around in a circle, that it makes about a 25 or 30-foot diameter circle. Steve, when he paddles his Sun Dolphin, if he just does full right paddle, he just goes around in a circle. It's 3 feet, he spins. Because of that keel, I have to push that fucker all the way around in this big wide circle. So it does not turn quickly or anything like that. But if you want to get out on the lake and put some gear in it, and you want to paddle 10 or 15 miles and camp and paddle 15 more miles again the next day, you're going to love that fucking kayak. It's an amazing kayak. And since I don't camp, but that's the kind of kayaking I do, it's not unusual for me to go out. In fact, me and Steve put 10 miles on today, and we had a fairly leisurely paddle. If I'm really like in a bad space in my head and I need to just get out there and fucking burn off bad dark energy and shit, I can put 15 miles on a paddle in a few hours. And so I do that fairly frequently. And so having that nice smooth tracking, just glide along the water kind of kayak is totally worth it. Love my kayak. It spins like a dolphin, all right. Generally, when I'm trying to turn, like if I'm coming up on something, I can't, like if I need to push left, I can't just go right paddle and push myself left if it's emergency. Like I look up and I realize there's a rock under the water and I need to go around it or something. I've got to jam the paddle in and drag, and it forces me around to the side. I have to do like an emergency braking maneuver to turn it sharply if I'm moving forward. If I'm trying to just like give it extra right paddle to go this way, it's fine if I'm going around a bend on a peninsula or something. But if I need to suddenly turn because I realize there's a log under the water or something, I have to just jam the paddle in the water and back paddle hard on that side, and it'll force me around. But that thing just wants to fucking go straight. I swear it literally has a keel on it, which is unusual for a kayak. You don't really think of a kayak as having a keel on it. Now, it's not a true keel like all the way down the length of it, but it's really sharp up front. It's really sharp in the rear, and then it's a semi V all the way down the belly. So it kind of has a keel on it. The Pelican Argo. I've looked at the Pelican Argo. Ark, you made it. Yay, how was your evening? But the 100, you're getting down to a 10-foot kayak. I've paddled a short kayak once briefly. Steve has more experience with he has the 10-foot or had the 10-foot Sun Dolphin, but because of where I paddle, it's a 12-foot minimum restriction on the reservoir. So if I want to get my stickers for the boat and be able to paddle on the reservoir, it's got to be a 12-foot or larger boat, with 20-foot being the maximum. And so all my kayaks have always been at least 12 feet. My Pungo is considered a 12-foot. It's the 120. But if you actually measure it, because of the way the keel sort of points and comes down off the back, it's actually like 12.4 or 12.3 or something like that. It's a little, it's a little over 12 feet. It's like 12.3 or 12.4 or something is the total length. But the part that you see above water, if you measure that, it's 12 feet. All right, everybody, I am going to start winding down. I'm going to get on up into first positions. Again, I'm fine with the chatting and everything, but I definitely need to get some food in me. If anybody really needs me to stay live tonight, I can go get a drink real quick. I mean, a protein drink, just to get some food in my stomach. I got to take my damn hit when the strike while the iron's hot. I got to stop talking, but I don't want to be rude and stop in the middle of a thought. And then, of course, by the time I do, my piece of metal's gotten cooled down. So hang on. I got to strike while the titanium's hot. That's more like it. Oh, you know what I've got in the refrigerator upstairs? I cooked this yesterday. I do not have to have another protein drink for dinner. I've got quinoa in the refrigerator upstairs, and that shit is good. So I'm going to eat me a bowl of quinoa when I go upstairs. Thank you, Mr. P. We had windy, breezy weather here today, Art. Does anybody want to say goodnight to Squeaker? Well, I generally pronounce it quinona, but when I read the label today or yesterday when I was making it, because I've never made it before, my wife usually makes it and I just eat it. But I made it yesterday, and it is not quinona, it's quinoa is how it's spelled. And so even though it's pronounced quinoa, it is spelled quinoa. So I got to get that straight. It's not quinona, like Quinona Judge. Isn't she a country music singer? But it's quinoa. Anyway, if you've never had quinoa, you should try quinoa. It's fucking good. And especially when you make it the way we make it, which is making it not with just water, but we have like a thick, it's like a chicken bouillon. You put like a teaspoon of it in a hot boiling water and it turns it into a broth. So we put like a teaspoon of that in with the boiling water, and then we make the quinoa. Same way like if you make rice, but you use some chicken broth with the rice, you get that really flavorful rice. Next time you make quinoa, if you do make it with chicken broth like that. It's fucking good. It's really good. I don't know if you would call cooking quinoa. I mean, if you call preparing rice cooking, then yes, I cook. I can prepare rice and boil pasta and stuff like that. I do cook to that level. I can set the oven to 375, and I can put my cookie dough in there for 15 minutes. I got that one down. So yeah, I can cook. Irish Gouda. I'm not a huge fan of Gouda. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it either. I don't buy it. If somebody offered me a piece, I'd eat it, but I don't actually buy it because it's kind of expensive and I'm not a huge fan of it. So why would I buy it? You know, smoked Gouda is okay in small quantities. I do like the smoked Gouda. All right, everybody. It probably has more ingredients than milk with that vitamin D. I hope you all had a good time tonight. I know I did, but I am definitely going to eat the cookie dough raw. Hell yeah. You wouldn't want to eat my cookie dough raw. Honestly, when you actually eat the flavor of my cookies, when I use my reclaim to make them, they don't taste all that good. And now I've actually got some stuff that I made. If you remember, I made a batch of goo out of those roaches, which taste like roaches. I'm not gonna smoke that because it doesn't taste good at all. But I am gonna save it. And when I get enough reclaim and other mishmash kind of stuff that I'm not gonna smoke, I'll throw all that into a batch of cookies. And so trust me, you're gonna want to cook that batch of cookies. You're not gonna want to eat that shit raw. Anyway, I hope you all had a good night tonight because I know I did. So thanks for hanging out. I'm glad Steve was able to join us. So he's been here for the whole thing tonight. It's after 10. Wow, he's up late. So get to bed, Steve, and everybody else. I will see you Wednesday if you're a member. Otherwise, I will see you all next Friday. So thanks for joining me, and good night.